In this video, we're going to be updating some of the main villains and anti-heroes. As some of you know, when I was a kid, my IT teacher gave us an assignment to draw ourselves, and that's how I created Justin Wolf and his closest friends. Over the rest of the year in 6th and 7th grade, I also created several anti-heroes and villains. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 of them. I know there are only 4 in this video, but I'll be showing more in part 2, because the show I'm planning to make is going to have around 6 seasons. Keep in mind that the anti-heroes are never going to be the main villains in the show. Instead, they're side characters who keep our main characters on their toes. At the end of updating each character's design, we'll place them on a spectrum to see whether they could turn to the good side or if they're too far gone to be given a second chance. Up first is the ex of Justin Wolf. When I was first making this character, she went through a lot of names. At the beginning, she was called Love Wolf, then in other versions Heather, and more recently, I started calling her Velvet Heart. Before I talk about her old design, I need to explain that we are also going to change her most recent design and her character's story. Now let's look at what I originally wrote. Heather is the best person in the group to gossip with, and she loves her phone, especially for TikToks. Every day she tells someone a lie about someone else, and there's more. She thinks she's the most beautiful. However, she is learning how to stop lying. She helps at Wolf TV by making TikToks. Hope you hate her just like Justin Wolf. Okay, so that's the old version. Now, let's go over the new version and talk about what I like about both versions and what I don't like about both. Basically, the pros and the cons. Here's what I wrote for the second old version. Velvet Heart is Justin Wolf's ex-girlfriend. They broke up because she was using him to gain royal privileges. She's not evil, just cunning and misguided, which is why she's part of the outcasts, a group made up of people society misunderstands. She lies, schemes, and manipulates to get her way, and she's clever enough to almost always succeed. Trapped in a harsh contract that forces her to spy, she set her sights on becoming Queen of Unity, not for honor, but to break free and bend the rules in her favor. She loves Justin, but her feelings are tangled with her desire for power and advantage. Publicly, she helps at Wolf News by starting TikTok trends in her studio, but secretly she uses her spy skills to steal diamonds from the bot bank, always staying one step ahead of anyone trying to catch her. Beneath it all, she's also drawn to Josh, plotting how to make him hers, while keeping her secrets hidden. Hope you like her. Now that we have a basic understanding of what I wanted the old Heather to be and what I want the new Heather to be, let's go over the pros first. Pro 1. I like that both versions show her working for Justin at Wolf News. Even though they broke up, they still work together and are probably still friends, or maybe not. You'll have to find out when the show or comic comes out. Pro 2. I like that in both versions she feels the need to lie, but she's also working on telling the truth. Pro 3. I really like the idea in the second version that she's trapped in a contract. Pro 4. Heather is smart, really smart, in both versions. Now for the cons. Con 1. Her loving TikToks don't fully fit her personality anymore. Con 2. In the first version, she thinks she's the most beautiful. She can believe she's beautiful, but she shouldn't obsess over it. Now that we know what we want and don't want the character to be like, let's redesign her character and give her a better fit for the story. Velvet Heart is Justin Wolf's ex-girlfriend. Their relationship ended when Justin discovered that Velvet had been using him to gain royal privileges, hoping it would help her escape a deal in which someone owned her soul. When Justin realized the truth, they broke things off. Even after the breakup, Velvet's situation didn't change. Her soul was still owned. With no way out, she was forced to continue working for Jet, trapped in a deal that left her with very little control over her own life. Until she finds a way to escape, she has no real freedom. At Wolf News, Velvet works as one of Jet's favorite movie stars, someone he treats more like an object than a person. If she doesn't obey, she's beaten into submission. Jet also forces her to join the outcasts and act as a spy for them. When he's too busy or simply doesn't want to be involved, Velvet is made to take his place on the team. Because of everything happening around her, Velvet has learned how to survive by hiding her true intentions. She lies when she has to, plays the role expected of her, and carefully moves pieces behind the scenes to get closer to freedom. Beneath all the pressure and control, she still clings to small things that make her feel like herself, especially her love for keeping up with the newest fashion trends. And just like the other characters in the last video, she also has abilities that match her personality. Velvet can make anyone fall in love with her using her potions. She has air shoes that allow her to fly short distances alongside her wolf bat wings. She also has holographic manipulation abilities, powerful enough to even stop Justin's TV-based abilities. I believe her new character design and role in the story better represent what I had in mind. I can imagine that when Justin and Velvet broke up, they had a huge fight. Now let's see where Velvet falls on the spectrum. I feel like she's more of an anti-hero, someone who helps the main characters but is forced to help the outcast villains. Because of that, I'd place her more on the good side of the spectrum. Now let's move on to the next villain. Up next is a character I originally made just for fun when I was a kid. At the time, he didn't mean much. He was just a random idea. But over a couple of days, I started liking the concept more and more, and eventually I turned him into a real character. When I first made him as a kid, his name was Radio, and this is what I wrote back then. Radio is the opposite of Justin Wolf, full of energy and misunderstood. He watches over the outcasts and helps in Kingdom Park by being in charge of the outcast base and putting out fires. He says he came before Justin Wolf and that Radio existed before TV ever came on the air. Hope you hate him, because he doesn't like you either. Looking back, I can see what I was going for as a kid. And just like Velvet, I decided to show a more recent take on the character. Here's what I wrote for the second old version. Houston is a member of the royal family of Unity and Justin's twin brother. He used to love his family deeply, but everything changed when his father couldn't accept that Houston took after his mother and became more dragon than wolf. Because of that, Houston was, and still is, seen as a disappointment in his father's eyes. Not wanting him anywhere near the future throne, his father placed him in charge of passing judgment in a realm no one else ruled. Over time, Houston claimed that place as his own and became the leader of what he calls the Outcast Realm, though most people know it as the Judgment Realm. From there, he delivers punishment to those who break his laws, but he also protects and leads the outcasts, the misunderstood, each labeled by the public as the sins they represent. Now he stays in the outcast base, holding on to his anger over what happened to him, and makes sure the world hears his pain through his radio broadcasts on Wolf News, because to him, radio lasts forever. Hope you like him. Just like with the last character, I think it's important to talk about the pros and cons. This time, I'll start with the cons. Con 1. It feels like Houston has more reason to hate his father than his brother Justin. Con 2. It's not very clear what the outcasts actually do. Con 3. It doesn't really explain why he likes radio so much. It just seems like he prefers it because it's older than modern TV. Con 4. His design doesn't really look like a villain. Now let's talk about the pros. One thing I really like is that Houston was treated badly by his father. So badly that his father didn't even want him to be the next king. Another thing I like is that Houston knows exactly what he wants. And even though he isn't very scary in design, that actually leads into the last pro. I like that Houston is meant to be the opposite of his brother Justin. So now let's take what I like and fix what I don't like. This is the revised direction I wrote. Houston is a member of the royal family of the Kingdom of Unity and the twin brother of Justin. When the twins were born, they inherited wolf traits from their father and dragon traits from their mother. However, the brothers took on those traits differently. Justin looks more wolf than dragon, while Houston looks more dragon than wolf. Because of this, their father hated Houston for resembling a dragon and decided that Justin would become the future king of Unity. Due to the constant neglect and hatred from his father, Houston learned to be independent and began researching steam-era technology. He fell in love with building machines from that era and became fascinated with radio broadcasts, wanting to improve and bring that old technology into the modern day. Justin, however, didn't believe improving outdated technology would help the current state of unity, but Houston continued his work anyway. When their father announced Justin as the next king, he still needed to give Houston responsibility once he stepped down from the crown, so he put Houston in charge of the law in the Kingdom of Unity. Houston accepted the role and also created the Outcasts as a way to improve Unity's technology, but the idea was quickly shut down by his father. As a result, Houston turned the Outcasts into a secret organization. Because no one respected him, Houston was filled with rage and transformed the Outcasts into a group that secretly controlled everything in the kingdom, helping him move closer to his goal of becoming king. Hope you like him. With this new direction, I feel like it better explains why Houston likes radio, because it connects to his love of older technology and his desire to improve it. This version also explains why the public calls him the Sin of Wrath. He was wronged by everyone around him, and instead of letting it go, he decided to make them pay. This direction gives him a real reason for the things he does today. Now that we understand the kind of person Houston is, let's give him abilities that match his personality. Houston can teleport using radio waves. He can change someone's appearance through radio sound waves, sense someone's presence through sound, and even if his mouth is covered, he can still speak through nearby speakers. I feel like these abilities reflect how untouchable he believes himself to be. Because of everything he's been through, I think it would be hard for Houston to forgive the people who wronged him. On the villain spectrum, I'd place him closer to too far gone to easily forgive, but not completely past saving. I still want him to have a chance to do the right thing someday. He may not be menacing in the way I originally imagined, but he is absolutely a force to be reckoned with. And when he becomes the main villain of the season, I believe he'll give his brother Justin a serious run for his money. Now on to the next character. So now that we've talked about characters that have been around for a long time, let's move on to a more recent character, Kraken. Unlike the other characters in this video, she doesn't have 2 old character cards, so there isn't as much early information on her. Still, I want to make sure she fits properly into the story I'm building. This is what I originally wrote. Kraken is a strong water dragon. She doesn't need anybody to help her, but over time she grew to understand that it's okay to ask for help. She is a dragon kraken, a type of kraken that turns into a dragon. She loves to explore the 7 seas and helps out in Cordelia Aquarium as a replacement for Felix. She used to have her own area, but not anymore. Hope you like her. Before I go over the pros and cons of what younger me wrote, I need to explain something. These really old character cards contain outdated information. The characters you see in my videos were originally made for a horror game called Kingdom Park. Yes, I still want to make a horror game, but I also want to make a show, a comic, and other projects using this cast of characters. I like to imagine that the show is something made by Kingdom Park to promote the park itself, and that it becomes so popular that it eventually gets its own real park. I don't know. You'll just have to wait and see. Now, back to the video. I can see what younger me was trying to go for, but before updating Kraken into my current art style and making her fit better into the story I have in mind, let's go over the pros and cons of her old version. Pros. One thing I like is that it suggests there's an area for pirates, which could be turned into some kind of mini-realm inside the Crystal Blue realm. Another thing I like is that she's a type of kraken that can turn into a water dragon. Sadly, that's about it for the pros. Now for the cons. I don't like that the character doesn't have much of a personality or any clear goals. Another thing I don't like is that she's meant to be a replacement for Felix, another character I made in the past who I'll talk about in a future video. I decided I could keep the replacement idea, but add more of a twist to it. There are more things I don't like about the original version, but I'll explain what I fixed after showing the updated version. Here's what I wrote for her updated story. Kraken is the overlord of pirates, and she and her crew control all the trade routes in the Kingdom of Unity. In exchange for keeping the trade routes running, she is paid with the kingdom's treasure. However, she doesn't like working for anyone other than herself, not after what happened the last time she trusted someone. When Kraken was younger, she worked for a pirate captain named Felix, who was her first ever friend. She respected him with all her heart until Felix decided to stop being a pirate. From that moment on, Kraken lost all the respect and trust she had for him and began focusing on improving her abilities. Over time, she became one of the most powerful overlords in the Crystal Blue Realm. Now she controls a sub-realm within the Crystal Blue Realm called Crystal Skull, where all the pirates of the Kingdom of Unity live. But no matter how much power she holds over the pirates, she still has to answer to the royal family of Unity. Once their control over her vanishes, she plans to make sure she becomes the new Queen of Unity, so she never has to answer to or trust anyone ever again. Hope you like her. Before we go over her abilities, I want to explain what I fixed about her character. First, I fixed her personality so it actually feels like she has one. Second, I gave her a more personal relationship with Felix. Third, I explained why she has trust issues. I also changed a few major things. I made her a villain because it made the most sense for the story, and I made her the overlord of pirates who controls the trade routes of the Kingdom of Unity. There are a lot of other changes too, but I'm sure you've already noticed most of them. Now that we know what kind of Kraken she is, let's talk about her abilities. Kraken can morph her scales into tentacles to create any concept she can think of. She can switch between her dragon form and her Kraken form, and she can breathe underwater. I like to imagine that once both Justin's father and brother are defeated after their seasons end, Justin has to become king and take full control of the law. That's when Kraken steps in and makes the entire situation way worse for him. Before moving on to the last character, we need to place her on the villain spectrum. Kraken has been hurt before and does have redeemable qualities, but she'll probably never trust anyone again. She's also a bit insane when someone defies her, and yes, if someone openly defies her orders, they get killed. That's only about 1% of how dangerous she really is. Because of that, I believe she should be placed somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, but definitely leaning more toward the too far gone side. Now, on to the next character. For the last character, I was originally going to create a completely new one for this video. However, I needed more time to fully flesh him out and give him a proper introduction like the others. So instead, I decided to use a character who has a strong connection to the one I was planning to make, Jorah, one of the greatest hackers in the gamer realm. Here's what I originally wrote. Outcast Jorah is one of the most popular stop ball players in the gamer realm, but her life hasn't been easy. Her entire family died because they couldn't evolve fast enough to adapt to the dramatic changes in the realm after the deal with the wolves. To cope with her grief, Jorah threw herself into her work, dominating other players on the stop ball field. She also tried to numb her pain by eating everything in her house. Then, Houston found her. He doesn't know exactly why she's so upset. She won't tell him, but he helped her by making sure she had people around who understood and cared for her. Jorah didn't completely stop her ways of coping, but having supportive friends made her feel a little less alone. Now, she dedicates herself to helping the outcasts in any way she can with her hacking skills. Hope you like her. Just like with the other characters, let's go over the pros and cons of this version. Pros. The first thing I like is that the card explains some of the events that shaped Jorah into who she is today. I also like that she's one of the best stop ball players in the realm. Another thing I like is that, to the other outcasts, their leader Houston is seen as a kind of savior. Now for the cons. The first thing I don't like is that the card doesn't really focus on her hacking skills or her relationship with the demigod of viruses. Another issue is that it makes it seem like her entire family died. While I like a tragic backstory, I don't think her whole family needs to be gone, though I may keep parts of that depending on what fits the story best. Now that we know the core elements I want for the character, here's what I wrote for her updated version. Before the deal with the wolves, the gamer realm was originally a swamp realm. Because of that deal, the realm transformed into a technologically advanced gamer city, powered by an electric field that charges any technology within it. Due to this drastic change, all species living in the gamer realm were forced to evolve and adapt to the new environment. This brings us to Jorah. Jorah is one of the best stop ball players in the gamer realm, and her success is no joke. She made a deal with the demigod of viruses to gain some of his power so she could upgrade the suit that keeps her alive, making sure it wouldn't slow her down on the field. On a normal day, her mother died because she couldn't afford a suit that would help her survive the rapid evolution process most species in the gamer realm had to go through after the realm's transformation. To cope with her mother's passing, Jorah began focusing more and more on her stop ball career and started eating excessively until it became unhealthy. In the end, she felt completely alone. That's when Houston found her. He was looking for a hacker to join his team. He didn't know exactly what was making her so upset, but he knew she needed people around her who understood and cared for her. That's when she joined the Outcasts. Although she didn't completely stop her unhealthy coping habits, having supportive friends made her feel less alone. Now she dedicates herself to helping the outcasts in any way she can using her hacking skills. Hope you like her. I think this new version fixes most of the problems I had with the old card. The original wasn't bad. I just wanted to improve it and give Jorah a more reasonable and focused story to tell. I also like to imagine Jorah and Velvet having a heartfelt moment, comparing who had the harder life. Now let's give Jorah some abilities that match her role in the story. Jorah can hack anything. She can jump so high that it looks like she's flying, climb up walls, and create a type of irritant that causes effects like burning or itching. I feel like these abilities fit her role on the Outcast team much better. Finally, let's place her on the villain spectrum. Considering that Jorah doesn't want to feel alone and isn't a bad person, I'd place her more on the anti-hero side of the spectrum. While I was making this video, I really pushed myself to improve character designs that I previously thought were already good. Working on this project showed me that I can improve anything I put my mind to, and that realization pushed me to redesign our main character, Justin Wolf, once again. I also created 4 variants for other characters. Here are some of them. First, I made 2 variants of Velvet Heart in 2 different outfits. One is her spy outfit, and the other is her casual outfit. I like to imagine that Velvet wears her casual outfit when she's not working at Wolf News or when she's just relaxing with friends. I can picture Justin giving her this outfit back when they were still dating. Her spy outfit, on the other hand, is what she wears when Houston sends her on missions or when she's trying to steal jewelry from the bank in Gamer City. I also made variants of the brothers, Justin and Houston, without their jackets. For Justin, I like to imagine that he wears his school uniform under his jacket, especially when he's around his father. For Houston, I imagine that he takes his jacket or coat off when he's upset or deep in thought. Unlike his brother, Justin, Houston would never wear a school uniform under his jacket. Those are all the variants I made for this video. I hope you like the new character designs and their new roles in the current story. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Now that we've covered some of the main villains and anti-heroes in this video, I think it's time to wrap things up. I still remember when Velvet, Houston, and Kraken were first created, and I hope I can tell you those stories someday. On this channel, you can expect more stories like this one, and we'll see where this story goes next. Bye everybody, Wolf News out. Make sure to check out the videos YouTube is showing on your screen right now. They're right there. Also, keep in mind that there may be new designs in the future, or even more changes made before these characters appear in an actual show, game, or comic. I also have plenty more characters to show you in future videos, so please like this video and subscribe if you'd like to see more.